the NBA and NBA Players Association has announced a new format. Not the first time we've heard this, a new format for the 2025 NBA All-Star Game. Justin, do you want to break it down for us, how this is going to look? Because it's very different.
To me, just a little spoiler alert. I hate this, but I'll read it and then we'll talk about it. So here it is. So this is for the 2025 NBA All-Star Game. By the way, voting will commence on Thursday, December 19th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That'll probably be on NBA.com. Basically, how it's going to work is it's going to be a mini tournament with 4 teams and 3 games. So the 24 NBA All-Star selections are going to be divided evenly into 3 A-player teams. The 4th team is going to be the Rising Stars champions. So that takes place on Friday. Usually it's the rookies. They've done it where it's like the second-year players versus the rookies. They've also had G League in there, so we'll see how that works. So honorary team general managers will be the Inside the NBAs. It's going to be Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny Smith, and Candace Parker. So Barkley, O'Neal, and Smith will draft their rosters of the 24 NBA All-Star selections, and then Parker's going to be the GM of the Castrol Rising Stars champion. So 2 teams will meet in one semifinal, and the other 2 teams will meet in the other semifinals game 2. So this kind of reminds me of like the Big Three. Kind of like in how unrivaled might be, my guess. So what's going to happen is that the winning teams from game 1 and game 2 will advance to face each other in the championship game 3, and the winner of each game will be the first to reach or surpass 40 points. There will be prize money involved as well. If you see me scrolling up here, you'll see that this is Jordan Robinson, our former guest here that we had on fairly recently. She says, man, we don't want to play in the All-Star game. We're tired. That's NBA players. And then the NBA says, how about 3 games instead? So I think she's exactly right. So I've talked for a lot. I'll let you give your thoughts on this. Maybe you'll have a more optimistic view of this, but I'm curious what you think.
Well, I tend to be a traditionalist, as you know, Justin. And so I agree with KD's sentiment of going back to East versus West, the kind of that traditional format. Ultimately, I will say my thoughts, given how the past 5+ All-Star games have gone, my ultimate thoughts are if this makes it more competitive, then maybe it is a win. I think the element that's driving the fact that it may be competitive is that one of the teams is that Rising Stars team. So it's like if you're the All-Star, then you're not wanting to get shown up by the Rising Stars.
Yeah.
So you have to put in like enough effort to not get humiliated by the Rising Stars. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Rising Stars beats one of the All-Star teams.
Agreed.
Just simply because those players have made it clear, and there's several statements you can look up, unfortunately, but players just don't want to play in All-Star weekend. They want that rest time. And I think that that's part of what's behind how the All-Star game has looked on the court lately, is that, hey, this is exhibition, this is fun, and so no defense happens, etc. You get a really not very compelling product to watch. But those are my thoughts.
So I commend the NBA for doing something different. That's what I like about the NBA. They're willing to experiment, try new things. I think that's really cool. The issue I have of this is several. So when they asked KD about this, he seemed surprised, right or wrong. It seemed like a genuine shock.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's what's happening.
So you would think, I mean, KD's not like, the 11th guy on the bench. I mean, he is a signature player in this league. You would think he would hear from the bare minimum, hear from the grapevine. I think would be the best thing to do is ask him his feedback regarding this, since he has been a team captain of this All-Star game in the past. So you would think you would get this guy's feedback. And I would think, he's not the one, KD, to hide his opinion. So to not get his feedback means probably you didn't ask LeBron, probably you didn't ask a lot of prominent players. Could be wrong. But based on this, that is a concern that you didn't get the feedback of a lot of your players in this league. So that's issue number 1. Issue number 2 is you can make it any format you want. Do you want East versus West, NBA versus the world, 3 versus 3? Are the players motivated to do this? I mean, do they care? What's going to make these players care? And I think the concern I have, another one, is not getting a coalition of younger players and older players, seeing them in a room, not having Adam Silver there and just being, look, do we care about this All-Star game or not? If we do care, what do we need to do to make sure that this game is fun, competitive, and the fans go home happy? And if you make enough money to worth our while. And if they can't come to a conclusion, get rid of it and have All-Star Saturday night, which I think garners a lot of attention. You can tinker with the format a lot more. I think every, 4 or 5 years, there's a good slam dunk contest. People love the 3-point contest. And with the WNBA inclusion with the rise, Caitlin Clark, Sabrina Ionescu, I think that's been a hit. So I think All-Star Saturday night, you can really keep that afloat. And then you can have the Rising Stars, even, put All-Star Saturday night, Sunday night, and put the Rising Stars Saturday and get rid of the All-Star game. Because to me, I just think tinkering with the format, I just don't think these players care. And no matter what they do. I just don't see any type of a difference. I think that's been abundantly clear just in terms of their motivation. And I think we probably see that in other sports too. Because these players, they're scared for multiple reasons. A, of getting hurt, and 2, getting embarrassed. So I agree with you, Matt, putting the Rising Stars in there. I think that's going to be interesting. But I think even with the NBA players, it's kind of like we're a microwave society. They're going to get, let's just say the Rising Stars destroy, whatever team, Team Charles of NBA players. They're going to get clowned on for 2 weeks and life moves on. Like they're going to make their millions of dollars and we're going to be in the midst of the second half of the NBA season. So I just don't think these players care. And it's truly unfortunate. And I'm usually a huge fan of Adam Silver, but I think I am knocking him for this. I think for not having a concrete plan of making this game more appealing to your veteran players. And I think he should take the blame for that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. What you just said there outlines the underlying problem with the NBA at large right now.
Yeah,
that we see through the majority of the regular season, and it does bleed into the All-Star game quite a bit, maybe even more so because of that exhibition status that we mentioned. And that's why I don't know that I have as much of a problem with not consulting the players about it because the players have shown that they don't care. But you're right in that by meeting with them, maybe you can get ideas to where they will care about it. So
or if they say get rid of it, just something.
Yeah, I think there's still dollar signs tied to it automatically, which is why they're still tinkering with this format. But
Fair.
You and I said last season that we felt, after the last All-Star game, I think you and I both were in agreement this game needs to go away and just die a painful death. I think
agree.
What's dragging it along probably is dollar signs.
The TV rights.
Yeah, and the money they're making from the venue.